youths. Well, family members and locals are demanding the immediate handing over of the bodies. However, as per authorities in Tengnopal district, there is still no positive response from the Myanmar side on the handing over of the bodies. DIG Range 2 Manipur Ningshen Wangnam, who arrived in the border town of Moreh today, held a security meet with the CSOs. The meeting was held in the backdrop of the violent protest that broke out in border town yesterday. Well, DIG Wangnam during the meeting said that Manipur government is in constant touch with Ministry of External Affairs, which has already communicated with the embassy at Yangon. Notably, a massive protest had broken out in Moreh on Wednesday, with people demanding the handing over of the bodies of Tamil youths. Angry protesters had gathered near the border, resorting to arson. Protesters gathered near the border pillar 76 near Sunrise Ground in Moreh to stage a massive demonstration and also resorted to stone pelting and arson. In the wake of the situation, the Tengnopal District Administration has imposed Section 144 in Moreh town, besides issuing an advisory to residents of Moreh and all visitors to the area not to venture into the Myanmar side without proper documents and permits from the concerned authorities. Besides, a tight security has been put in place at the India-Myanmar border currently to ensure there is no further escalation of the situation. All right, our news editor Nabrun Goswami joins us over the phone line to give us an update on the situation that has arisen in Manipur's border town of Moreh. Well, Nabrun, as right now, only the concern by the family members is to get back the body, to get back the mortal remains. And the entire Moreh town bore a deserted look today, with shops downing shutters, vehicles keeping off roads. So situation continues to be tense in Moreh.
Absolutely, Pooja. Situation continues to be tense and volatile. In fact, we are getting inputs that as we speak, there are fresh demonstrations underway in Moreh town, led by the family members and locals demanding the immediate return of bodies from Myanmar. In fact, they are demanding a clarity on the entire issue. They're saying that they have not got any clarity on the entire issue so far. Why is it taking so much time for the bodies, for the mortal remains to be handed over to the families? That is their concern. Earlier in the day, Northeast Vice President Sharat Chandra, who was camping in Moreh, also spoke to family members of the victims, and even they are waiting anxiously for at least the return of the mortal remains, return of the bodies of the two youths who were shot dead at Samu in Myanmar. What they have been saying is that there has been no clear response from the authorities so far, authorities in Manipur, as to what is exactly going on. Why is it taking so much time for the bodies to be returned? Now, we did witness how the situation had turned violent yesterday in Moreh. We had violent protests along the Indo-Myanmar border near the pillar number 76, border pillar number 76, where people also resorted to stone pelting and arson. There was a lot of anger among the locals. Today, however, has been relatively peaceful. Section 144 has been imposed in Moreh. There were no protests or rallies during the day, but we are getting to learn as of now. Again, fresh demonstrations have erupted. In fact, people are demonstrating. People from the Tamil community, especially in Moreh, are demonstrating outside the office of the Tamil Sangam, demanding a clarity on the situation. Also, what we are getting to know is that there's another meeting going on between the district administration officials, the SP, the DC, the DIG Range 2 Manipur is also attending the meeting. That's what sources are telling us at this moment. Earlier in the day, Northeast I've also spoke to the DIG Range 2 Manipur and also the DC Tengnopal on the status for the return of bodies. What we were told is that there have been several attempts to contact officials on the Myanmar side at Samu. However, there has not been any clear response as far as the handing over, the return of the bodies are concerned. The same answer was given by both the DC and the DIG Range 2 Manipur. So clearly there's a lot of confusion and everything is not clear as far as why is it taking so much time for the Myanmar authorities to hand over the bodies. The incident, of course, took place at least 2 days ago. The report came in day before yesterday. There was violence, protests, widespread protests in Moria town yesterday. One of the victims was an auto rickshaw driver. The auto rickshaw driver's owners association went for a strike. The local people took out protest rallies. And all they're asking now is the handing over of the mortal remains of the near and dear ones of the two youths. And they are clearly unable to understand why should that take so much time. So there is not much clarity as far as the entire procedure is concerned. It was earlier expected that the bodies will be handed over today. However, that has not happened. What is concerning more for the family members is that the district authorities in Manipur, the district authorities in Tangnopal are also not clear about the entire situation as to why is it taking so much time for the bodies to be handed over. As the DIG informed Northeast Live, they had been trying to get in touch with officials on the Myanmar side, but there has been not much of a positive response so far. We can understand the condition of the family members who, in the first place, have lost their near and dear ones. 2 young lives lost. That is one. Secondly, now they are struggling to get the bodies back. So that is something which has kept the situation in Moria volatile. Yes, a meeting, as we learned, is going on right now. There are fresh demonstrations. Family members are angry. They wouldn't go home without getting clarity of things. And so we have to wait and watch how things unfold, Pooja. But as of now, not much is known as to when the bodies will be handed over. And there are certain ominous signs also. Family members have mentioned about certain media reports on the Myanmar side. We are not going into much that at the moment. That is very sensitive information. But yes, the family members are very concerned. They want the mortal remains returned. They want the mortal remains of the near and dear ones to be handed over at the earliest.
All right. Now, Nabarun, as the situation remains calm today as per the version by the DC, but do you think that after these inputs that the body is not being returned by the Myanmar side, there is a silence from the Myanmar side over the body's return? Now, what do you think? Is there a protest in the offing? Is there a protest that can take place in the near future again?
Definitely, Pooja. Things are still very volatile. People are very emotional. The entire community, the Tamil community and locals are emotional about the entire incident. And it's 2 young lives lost, so emotions are running high. There is tension. Yes, there were no protests today. People were expecting that the bodies may be handed over today. That did not happen. They may soon, run out of patience. But yes, the authorities have been in constant touch. The DC, the SP, they've held meetings with the civil society organizations who have cooperated so far. It is very important to maintain calm. Because that's a very important border area, and innocence from both sides shouldn't be at the receiving end because of an incident. That's what the authorities have been saying. As the Tamil body in Moree had submitted a memorandum to Chief Minister N. Biren Singh yesterday to the local ADC, putting forward demands, among which was, of course, the immediate handing over of the bodies and compensation for the families of the deceased. It is also mentioned that if the demands are not met, and if something untoward happens from someone from Myanmar coming to the Moree side, they would not be, the locals shouldn't be held responsible for it. So yes, situation is very tense right now. It's volatile, and it's very important that people maintain their calm. Innocent people shouldn't suffer because of the situation, and that's why the DIG, the DC, the SP, everyone's camping there, constantly interacting with the CSOs, the family members, to ensure that peace is maintained at all costs. Pooja.
All right. Thank you, Nabruna, for giving us those details at this point in time. And meanwhile, a Northeast Live correspondent, Sharat Chandra, who was in Moree, spoke to the DIG Range 2, Ningshen Wangnam, on the return of the bodies from Myanmar. DIG Wangnam said that there has been no response yet from Myanmar over the handing over of the bodies so far.
It's an unfortunate incident. Moree Police Station have received a missing report on the 5th of July 2022. And from informal, or we could say credible sources, but not government sources, there are some report doing round that the missing person whom the family have reported here are shot dead in the Tamu town. That information we are having from the 6th of July onwards. Because of that information that they have been shot dead in the vicinity of More, there have been some build-up of tension in this area. So, because of the build-up of tension, state government have deputed additional police forces to came in this area to see that no untoward incident happen in this area and to see that everything is settled coolly. As regarding the death of two persons who are shot dead in Tamu, authorities have been trying to communicate with the Myanmar authorities and their counterpart, but till now we have not received any positive reply from their side. But we are still trying our best. And for this town to remain peaceful, we are deploying our forces all along the strategic places here. We are having a meeting with the CSO of this town so that they also help us in bringing calm and peace and tranquility in this area.
Meanwhile, a Northeast Live also spoke to Teng Nopal DC, who also reiterated that there is no clarity yet on the handing over of the bodies.
What is the latest situation out here in border of More?
The situation as of now, with the cooperation of all CSOs of More, is normal.
And so far as the prohibitory order, then and also the advisory note given from the district administration side not to venture out to Myanmar. So how long this prohibitory order advisory note will continue?
This will continue for some time until situations improve on the other side. It's for the safety of all.
Safety for all.
Safety for all.
Yeah, that's good. My last question is, do you have any information from your counterpart, that is from Myanmar administration side, regarding the handing over of these two dead bodies of youths?
So far, no such information regarding handing over of the two dead bodies. We are working on it, and we are exploring all options.
Meanwhile, our colleague Sharat Chandra called on the family members of both victims, P. Mohan and M. Ayanar. The family members of P. Mohan have expressed their helplessness amid the alleged lack of response from the authorities. The family members said that they have no information on when bodies are expected to be returned or whether they will ever get the mortal remains back.
Now we have already entered the residence of this is Mohan, and Mohan's residence is very near. This residence is very near to the Sunrise Ground. Sunrise Ground is again just bordering with the Myanmar side. You can see on my right side is the family members, close family members of the disease, and I came to know that she's the mother of this is Mohan, and on here is again Mohan, this brother. And also we came here. This is Mohan's wife, and all the you see the even the mother-in-law of the Mohan have already arrived here after getting the news of this incident. They all are gathering here. आपको अभी क्या सूचना मिली है मोहन के बारे में?
कुछ गवर्नमेंट से सूचना भी कुछ नहीं बता रहा है, वो लोग प्रोसेस चल रहा है बोलता, वो भी आके कुछ इन्फॉर्मेशन नहीं देता फैमिली मेंबर को, ना आके इन्वेस्टिगेट करता ना कुछ बोलता। हम लोग जाके पूछते हैं, भी सीएम श्री बीरेंद्र सिंह को मोमेंटम दिया है बोलता है, वो मोमेंटम का बारे में भी क्या हो रहा है नहीं हो रहा है कुछ इन्फॉर्मेशन नहीं मिलता हम लोग को। बॉडी कब मिलेगा भी नहीं बोलता, मिलेगा या नहीं मिलेगा भी नहीं बोल रहा है। कल म्यांमार का न्यूज में तो बोला है कि वो लोग ने जलाया है करके, वो भी सच है कि फेक है भी नहीं पता चल रहा है।
बोलने नहीं सकता।
कुछ बोलना चाहेंगे?
नहीं, उसको हिंदी नहीं आता,
तमिल में बोलिए उसको।
उन्होंने मनस कष्टों என்ன சொல்றாங்க नहीं, वो बात करना नहीं चाहता।
आप है मदर इन लॉ मोहन की,
चेन्नई से अभी आया, बेटी को लेके आया, अभी 1 महीना भी नहीं हुआ है, अभी ये 9 तारीख आने से इसको शादी होके 1 महीना, अभी 1 महीने से पहले ही वो गुजर,
9 जून को शादी।
हाँ 9 जून को शादी हुआ। अभी ये 9 तारीख आने से ही तो 1 महीना पूरा खत्म।
सीएम बीरेन्द्र सिंह से यही मांग है कि जल्द से जल्द जितना जल्द होता है हम लोग को बॉडी चाहिए फॉर्मेलिटी के लिए। ये लोग कुछ इंफॉर्मेशन भी नहीं मिल रहा है, कुछ बता रहा भी नहीं है ये लोग, तो हम लोग कैसे होगा? ये कुछ इंफॉर्मेशन तो देना चाहिए वो लोग ने आके।
All right, so indeed a tragic incident, and we just heard when our correspondent went to the residence of P. Mohan, and he spoke to the family members of P. Mohan. And just to tell our viewers that the version which we heard from the family members is really disheartening, as just 1 month back, P. Mohan got married, and this was actually speechless at this point in time to speak about, because P. Mohan family members mentioned to our correspondent Sharad Chandra, who went to meet to the family members, talk about the incident and what exactly happened. But he was shattered to know that P. Mohan got married just 1 month back. Meanwhile, family members of M. Iyengar said that he had gone to Tammu on Monday to celebrate the birthday of kids from an orphanage and had also taken spices from the house. However, he never returned.
आपको ये आयनर कब घर छोड़ के गए थे, कब ये सूचना मिली थी, और अभी आपकी क्या मांग है, क्या मांग रहेंगे आप?
वो मंडे में गया था। हाँ, मंडे में गया। इधर से मसाला उसला उसका बीबी ने पीस के दिया। इधर में बर्थडे है, अनाथम आश्रम बच्चा लोग है ना, वो लोग को खाना देगा करके मसाला पीस के, ये मोगन भी आइनर भी और दूसरा लड़का बुलाया, उसने लास्ट में नहीं आया, ये लोग दोनों को उन्होंने मार दिया। वो अभी तक वो लड़का खबर नहीं दिया, वो लड़का अभी तक नहीं आया। कुछ ना कुछ बोलना चाहिए ना, मेरे बेटा को मार दिया तो वो आके बोलना चाहिए, वो कुछ भी नहीं बोला।
ये लोग एक किसी की बर्थडे में शामिल होने के लिए गए हैं, मसाला उसला जैसे जो कोई पहचान क्या है उनका, जैसे जो जहाँ पर बर्थडे पार्टी के लिए जा रहे थे तमिल में।
हाँ, इधर का लड़का है,
पुराना पहचान,
इधर का मोरे का लड़का है, बर्मा में रिया। हाँ, आश्रम में है ना, बच्चा लोग है ना, वो लोग बच्चा के लिए खाना देने के लिए बर्थडे के लिए गया था। ये लोग दोनों और दूसरा लड़का एक ठो गया, ये लोग तीनों, ये लोग दोनों मर गया, वो लड़का नहीं आया अभी तक।
ये आयनर की माँ है, हम यही कोशिश करते हैं कि क्या है सूचना, क्या जानकारी है, बस यही जानने की कोशिश करता है। आयनर जब यहाँ से गई जिस दिन, एक तो बीबी होने के नाते मतलब कुछ तो आपको कह के गए होंगे, क्या कह के गया, मतलब कब वापस आएंगे ये भी बता के गया होगा मेरे ख्याल से।
डेट 5 था उस दिन, हम लोग आया था नीचे, यहाँ आया था, हम मसाला पीस के दिया था। वो जो भैया जिसका बर्थडे था, उसने कहा था कि अनाथ और ओल्ड एज होम में खाना खिलाएगा, तो वो इधर आया था, हम भी देखा उसको, हम ही एक विटनेस जो पूरा सब जानता है। तो वो आया, उसने कहा कि हम जा रहे हैं टमू, आप लोग दोनों आयनर और मोहन 11 बजे में आ जाना उधर, 11 o'clock में उधर आ जाना। तो ये लोग उस हिसाब से वहाँ गया, तो 11 में गया, 11 में ही सब हो गया शायद। हम लोग को तो 2 बजे ही पता चला।
एक तो आंटी कह रहा था कि किसी ने फोन नहीं किया, वो तो मतलब फेसबुक सोशल मीडिया के जरिए पता चला। आपको भी किसी ने फोन नहीं किया?
नहीं करा।
जब से ये घटना घटी है, यहाँ की जैसे यहाँ की अधिकारी, खास करके पुलिस या कोई डीसी की तरफ से घर वाले से कोई मिलने आया था क्या अभी तक?
मिलने तो नहीं आया, हम लोग सबके पास गया हेल्प के लिए, पर ज्यादातर तो हेल्प नहीं करा, पुलिस भी नहीं करा और अपना तमिल संगम भी ज्यादा कुछ नहीं करके दिया, बस कंप्लेन लिखा, मिसिंग फाइल करा, हो गया बस।
यही तो उनकी मांग है, और भैया बड़ा दुख है, क्योंकि अभी तक कोई भी अधिकारी की तरफ से कोई भी सूचना घर वाले को नहीं दिया गया। With video journalist Roshan, this is Sharad Chandra reporting for Notice Live from Border Town, More.
And shifting focus to the big story related to the Naga peace talks now. A crucial meeting of the core committee on Naga political issue will be held in the Nagaland Assembly on July 16th. The July 16th meet will be attended by all the members of the parliamentary committee and the 2 MPs from the state. The crucial meet on July 16th will take a call on the core committee's stand on the current status of the Naga peace talks. This was informed by Core Committee Member Secretary Neba Kronu after a meeting of the Parliamentary Committee on Naga Political Issue in Kohima today. And speaking to the media, Minister Neba Kronu said that the meeting will be held after the mock drill for presidential elections on July 16th in the Assembly Hall. He added that the Core Committee will have a thorough discussion on the peace talks with the elected representatives.
We had a meeting, but there is no resolution. But we have decided to call for all the parliamentary core committee, that is all the elected members, including the both MPs, to have a thorough discussion, a very serious discussion on 16th of this month in the assembly.
Okay.
It will not be that assembly session,
Okay.
but the mock drill for this presidential election will be there. So everybody have to come. So that after that, we will have a serious discussion in the conference call, and we will talk about this political issue.
Meanwhile, in a bid to break the fresh deadlock in Naga peace talks, some CSO leaders have now reportedly mooted the idea of a neutral party to act as a catalyst to the talks. With that, we take a short break. Stay tuned for more news.
A university is much more than just a place to get your education. It not only helps you build your career, but also your personality and mindset. At Assam Royal Global University, you will get the most suitable environment to gain knowledge and also grow as a person. The university has the best infrastructure with all the required facilities and best quality equipment for any kind of educational need.
জ্বৰ COVID-19 নহয়, ই জাপানীজ এনকেফ্লাইটিছৰো লক্ষণ হ'ব পাৰে, কাৰণ এই সময়খিনি জাপানীজ এনকেফ্লাইটিছৰ উচ্চ সংক্ৰমণৰ সময়, গতিকে আতংকিত নহ'ব। অতিপাত জ্বৰ, তীব্ৰ মূৰৰ বিষ, মানসিক অস্থিৰতা, ভ্ৰম আৰু সংজ্ঞানহীনতা, শৰীৰৰ কঁপনি আদি হৈছে জাপানীজ এনকেফ্লাইটিছৰ লক্ষণ। আপোনাৰ ক্ষেত্ৰতো যদি এনে কোনো লক্ষণ পৰিলক্ষিত হয়, তেনেহ'লে আশা, ANM, MPW বা ওচৰৰ চিকিৎসালয়ৰ সৈতে যোগাযোগ কৰক। সকলো জিলা চিকিৎসালয় আৰু চিকিৎসা মহাবিদ্যালয়ত জাপানীজ এনকেফ্লাইটিছৰ পৰীক্ষা আৰু চিকিৎসা বিনামূলীয়াকৈ প্ৰদান কৰা হয়। এই ৰোগৰ পৰা বাচি থাকিবলৈ খোৱাৰ সময়ত সদায় আঁঠুৱা ব্যৱহাৰ কৰক। ঘৰৰ ওচৰৰ পৰা গাহৰি আৰু গাহৰিৰ গঁৰাল আঁতৰাই ৰাখক। দীঘল হাতৰ চোলা আৰু দীঘল হাতৰ পেণ্ট পৰিধান কৰক। সন্ধিয়া ঘৰৰ ভিতৰে বাহিৰে ধোঁৱা দিয়াৰ ব্যৱস্থা কৰক। লগতে সকলো সময়তে কোভিড সংক্ৰান্তীয় নীতি নিয়মসমূহ মানি চলক। সতৰ্ক হওক, সুৰক্ষিত থাকক।
Welcome back. Various NGOs of the Denadubi area in North Garo Hills today came out in protest against the assault of a teacher from their village by police personnel of Dudhnoi Police under Gwalpara in Assam. The protesters demanded the termination of the accused personnel as well as the strictest punishment against them. The teacher was allegedly assaulted by a police woman identified as Mamta Joshi, allegedly on the orders of a sub-inspector Bishnu Bahadur Nevar, over a complaint by a coal trader from Gwalpara against her husband. At least 20 NGO groups were part of the protest today, which was attended by hundreds. It may be mentioned here that Gwalpara Superintendent of Police has suspended the sub-inspector and the female constable in question over allegations of assaulting the couple. So various NGOs of the Denadubi area in North Garo Hills today came out in protest against the assault of a teacher from their village by police personnel of Dudhnoi Police under Gwalpara in Assam. The protesters demanded the termination of the accused personnel as well as the strictest punishment against them. The teacher was allegedly assaulted by a police woman identified as Mamta Joshi, allegedly on the orders of Sub-Inspector Bishnu Bahadur Nevar over a complaint by a coal trader from Gwalpara against her husband. At least 20 NGO groups were part of the protest today, which was attended by hundreds. It may be mentioned here that Gwalpara Superintendent of Police has suspended the sub-inspector and the female constable in question over allegations of assaulting the couple.
प्रेस कर रहा है कि हम लोग का जो एक वुमेन थी उनके हस्बैंड का साथ थाना में गया था हस्बैंड का कोई किसी ने बिजनेस वाला ने उसको ऊपर में केस ठोक दिया जैसे हम लोग का विक्टिम की तरफ से स्टेटमेंट मिला है थाना से वो उसका हस्बैंड निकल गया था कहीं वापस नहीं आया और उसका स्विच ऑफ था वाइफ को बहुत पुलिस लोगों ने टॉर्चर किया था टॉर्चर करने के बाद उसको रूम में लेके जा करके अपने चैम्बर में बैठा के वहाँ में बहुत बुरी तरह से पिटाई किया ये सही नहीं है कानून का मुताबिक से ये गलत तरीका था इसलिए हम लोग ये इस बारे में हम लोग अपोज कर रहे हैं
And on to the Manipur landslide tragedy now. Well, there has been no success for the search and rescue workers on the day 8 of operations at Tupul in state's None district. Despite relentless operations throughout the day, not a single body could be recovered. As many as 49 bodies have been recovered so far from the tragedy site, while around a dozen people are still said to be missing. The development coming in regarding the Manipur landslide tragedy, well, there has been no success for the search and rescue workers on the day 8 of operations at Tupul in state's None district. Despite relentless operations throughout the day, not a single body could be recovered. As many as 49 bodies have been recovered so far from the tragedy site, while around a dozen people are still said to be missing. In what has come as a big sigh of relief for the employees of the Difang paper mills in Assam, a total of 2,751 employees of the Noga and Kachar paper mills were provided a financial assistance of Rs 810 crore and 2 lakh today. The humanitarian assistance was distributed by Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sharma in a special ceremony at the Srimanta Shankar Dev Kalakshetra. Meanwhile, as decided by the state government, a total of 84 employees have been inducted to various departments based on their qualifications and capabilities. Notably, the Noga paper mill has been shut since 2017, while the Kachar paper mill has remained defunct since 2015. Besides, more than 100 employees of these two mills have died ever since their shutdown.
Amar procesta thakibo je Karimganjor paper mill tok ami notun koi কোনোবা ব্যক্তিগত খণ্ড বা জয়েন্ট সেক্টৰত আমি অসমত আকৌ এটা পেপাৰ মিল আমি প্ৰতিষ্ঠা কৰিব খুজিম যেহেতু আমাৰ পেপাৰ মিলৰ ইতিহাসটো নোহোৱা হৈ নাযায় আৰু তাৰ কাৰণে আমি উদ্যোগ বিভাগত আমি ইতিমধ্যে সিদ্ধান্ত লৈছো যে কাছাৰ পেপাৰ মিলটো জিয়াবৰ কাৰণে আমি আকৌ এটা প্ৰচেষ্টা হাতত ল'ম হয়তো আগৰ দৰে নহব গভৰ্ণমেণ্টে নচলাব আমি আন ব্যৱস্থাৰে চলাব লাগিব আৰু বহু কেইজন অভিজ্ঞ কৰ্মচাৰীয়ে হয়তো পৰৱৰ্তী পৰ্যায়তো যদি তেনেকুৱা সিদ্ধান্ত হয় তেখেতসকলে সুবিধা পাব পাৰিব আমাৰ জাগিৰোডৰ যিটো পেপাৰ মিলৰ মাটি তাত আমাৰ ৰাজধানী ক্ষেত্ৰ সম্প্ৰসাৰণৰ বাবে আমি তাতে কাম কৰিম অৰ্থাৎ আমাৰ অসম গভৰ্ণমেণ্টত বহুত কেপিটেল আমাৰ পাৰ্মানেন্ট কেপিটেল নাছিলে আপোনালোকে জানে গতিকে আমি জাগিৰোডৰ ফালে বিধানসভা জুডিচিয়াৰী এক্সিকিউটিভৰ বহুত কাম আমি জাগিৰোডৰ ফালে কৰিম আমাৰ লক্ষ্য হৈছে যে গুৱাহাটী আৰু জাগিৰোডক 8 পথযুক্ত এটা পথেৰে সংযোজিত কৰা 8 লাইন সুপাৰ হাইৱে যাতে আমি গুৱাহাটীখনক আমি এক্সপান্ড কৰি গৈ থাকিব পাৰো ঠিক তেনেদৰে আমি গুৱাহাটীখনক আগবঢ়াব খুজিছো গুৱাহাটী উত্তৰ গুৱাহাটী আৰু শুৱালকুছি পলাশবাৰী ব্ৰিজেৰে আমি আন এটা স্যাটেলাইট টুৱাৰ্ডছ আমিনগাঁও সাংসাৰী কমলপুৰ তামুলপুৰ সেইফালে আৰু আন এটা আমি ব্যৱস্থা লৈছো পলাশবাৰী ফালে আগবঢ়োৱা অৰ্থাৎ যেনেকে নয়ডা গুৰগাঁও তিনিওফালে দিল্লীখন আগবাঢ়িছিলে তেনেকে আমি গুৱাহাটীক কেন্দ্ৰভূমি হিচাপে লৈ গুৱাহাটীখনক তিনিওফালে আমি এক্সপান্ড কৰাৰ কাৰণে সিদ্ধান্ত লৈছো আৰু বহুবিলাক কাম আমাৰ বেক অফিচত ইতিমধ্যে আমি আগবঢ়াই লৈ গৈছো গতিকে জাগিৰোড পেপাৰ মিলটো আমি উদ্যোগৰ কাৰণে ব্যৱহাৰ নকৰো that will be part of the government asset কিন্তু কৰিমগঞ্জ পেপাৰ মিলটোক আকৌ আমি পেপাৰ মিল হিচাপে আমি ৰিভাইভ কৰাৰ কাৰণে আমি সিদ্ধান্ত লৈছো কেনেকে কৰো কি ধৰণে কৰো তাৰ আমি সময়ত সিদ্ধান্ত লৈ গৈ থাকিম
And the centre has extended a financial assistance of rupees 324 crore and 40 lakh to the Assam government's flood relief measures. Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sharma, while informing the development on Twitter, expressed his gratitude to Prime Minister Narendra Modi and said that the financial aid will help combat the flood situation as well as make provisions for flood-affected victims.
Central government has released one advance installment for SDRF to so that we can help the affected people of basically who has suffered immensely because of the flood and they are in process of further releasing fund also from NDRF. One preliminary assessment has already been completed by the government of India. We are waiting for the report.
And on to the big international focus now. Well, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson has finally resigned after 50 ministers and aides, including 3 cabinet ministers, quit the government since late Tuesday. Well, Chancellor of Exchequer Rishi Sunak and Health Secretary Sajid Javid late set off the chain of resignations late Tuesday.
And in the last few days, I've tried to persuade my colleagues that it would be eccentric to change governments when we're delivering so much and when we have such a vast mandate and when we're actually only a handful of points behind in the polls, even in mid-term after quite a few months of pretty relentless sledging and when the economic scene is so difficult domestically and internationally. And I regret not to have been successful in those arguments. And of course, it's painful not to be able to see through so many ideas and projects myself. But as we've seen at Westminster, the herd instinct is powerful. When the herd moves, it moves. And my friends, in politics, no one is remotely indispensable. And our brilliant and Darwinian system will produce another leader equally committed to taking this country forward through tough times, not just helping families to get through it, but changing and improving the way we do things, cutting burdens on businesses and families, and yes, cutting taxes, because that is the way to generate the growth and the income we need to pay for great public services. And to that new leader, I say, whoever he or she may be, I say, I will give you as much support as I can. And to you, the British public, I know that there will be many people who are relieved and perhaps quite a few who will also be disappointed. And I want you to know how sad I am to be giving up the best job in the world. But them's the breaks. I want to thank Carrie and our children and all the members of my family who have had to put up with so much for so long. Above all, I want to thank you, the British public, for the immense privilege that you have given me. And I want you to know that from now on until the new Prime Minister is in place, your interests will be served and the government.
Spokesperson Nupur Sharma's statement against the Prophet, questioning the inaction against her. Well, this allegedly angered members of the right-wing group who went to the local police seeking the arrest of doctor who refused to register an FIR into the incident, where Arun Akatimani was part of the group that tried to file a complaint against the doctor. Another group took objection of this and questioned Arun why he went to the police, and this ultimately led to the fines. Punjab Chief Minister Bhagwant Mann today tied the knot with Dr. Gurpreet Kaur a day after making a surprise wedding announcement on Wednesday. The wedding festivities, attended by Delhi Chief Minister and Aam Aadmi Party National Convener Arvind Kejriwal, took place at Chandigarh in accordance with Sikh customs. AAP Rajya Sabha MP Raghav Chadda were among the guests who attended the ceremony. Notably, the Punjab Chief Minister's wife Gurpreet Kaur is a doctor by profession and hails from Pehova in Haryana's Kurukshetra district. Meanwhile, ahead of the wedding today, tight security arrangements were made in place at the residence of Chief Minister in Chandigarh. It may be mentioned here that the families of Bhagwant Mann and Dr. Gurpreet Kaur did not make the news of their upcoming marriage public till Wednesday. This is Mann's second marriage. He had separated from his first wife in 2015.
मेरे छोटे भाई और पंजाब के मुख्यमंत्री भगवंत मान जी विवाह के बंधन में बंध रहे हैं, नई शुरुआत कर रहे हैं। मैं भगवान से प्रार्थना करता हूं कि उनको बहुत ही सुखी वैवाहिक जीवन दे और दोनों बहुत खुश रहें, दुनिया की सारी खुशियां उनको बख्शे।
देखो जी, आज मेरे बड़े भाई पंजाब के मानयोग मुख्यमंत्री भगवंत मान साहब की जिंदगी का एक नया चैप्टर शुरू होने जा रहा है। मेरी ओर से मान साहब को, मान साहब की पूरी फैमिली को, मान साहब की बेबे जी को, मान साहब की सिस्टर को और हमारी होने वाली परजाई जी को, सबको बहुत बहुत मुबारकां, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, बहुत बहुत बधाइयां। एक छोटा सा फंक्शन रखा है, एक रस्म रखी है, बस घर परिवार के लोग शामिल होंगे। दिल्ली के मुख्यमंत्री अरविंद केजरीवाल जी बस कुछ ही समय में यहाँ पहुंचने वाले हैं। वो अपने पूरे परिवार के साथ आए हैं।
All right, we have a breaking news coming in, viewers. The COVID positivity rate in Sikkim has risen to 15.5%, with 29 fresh cases reported from the Himalayan state. The total new cases have now gone up to 82, with 29 fresh cases reported in last 24 hours. So breaking news at this point in time, viewers, the COVID positivity rate in Sikkim has risen to 15.5%, with 29 fresh cases reported from the Himalayan state. The total new cases have now gone up to 82, with 29 fresh cases reported in last 24 hours. All right, so everybody is concerned at this point in time regarding the COVID cases, and this breaking news coming in from the state of Sikkim. The COVID positivity rate in Sikkim has risen to 15.5%, with 29 fresh cases reported from the Himalayan state. The total new cases have now gone up to 82, with 29 fresh cases reported in last 24 hours. All right, so sharp rise in COVID cases seen in the state of Sikkim as the COVID positivity rate in Sikkim has risen to 15.5%, with 29 fresh cases reported from the Himalayan state. The total new cases have now gone up to 82, with 29 fresh cases reported in last 24 hours. Shifting focus now, NDA presidential candidate Draupadi Murmu arrived in Guwahati this evening in what was the last leg of her northeast trip. Murmu was accorded a warm welcome by Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sharma and another top leaders from the state at Taj Vivanta in Guwahati. All right, so as an NDA presidential candidate, Draupadi Murmu arrived in Guwahati this evening in what was the last leg of her northeast trip. Well, Murmu was accorded a warm welcome by Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sharma and other top leaders from the state at Taj Vivanta in Guwahati. Well, NDA presidential candidate had a northeast tour. Yesterday, she was seen in Nagaland, Arunachal Pradesh, and Meghalaya. And today morning, she attended the leaders and she was received by Mizoram Chief Minister Zoramthanga in Mizoram. And after that, Draupadi Murmu, the NDA presidential candidate Draupadi Murmu, arrived in Guwahati this evening in what was the last leg of her northeast trip. Well, Murmu was accorded a warm welcome by Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sharma and the other top leaders from the state at Taj Vivanta in Guwahati. Earlier in the day, Draupadi Murmu visited the hill state of Mizoram. Murmu arrived at the Lengpui airport earlier today, where she was received by Mizoram Chief Minister Zoramthanga. Well, Murmu is currently attended a program at the Ijol Club, where she addressed the Mizoram cabinet ministers and MLAs. Well, Murmu was seen touring the states of Northeast to drum up support for the presidential elections. And prior to this, yesterday, Murmu visited the states of Arunachal Pradesh, Meghalaya, and Nagaland.
And I request BJP state president to tell his state.
On to some other news now. The week-long 73rd Van Mahotsav, organized in Assam's Dima Hasao district, concluded today at Mahur. As part of the closing ceremony, a plantation drive was organized and free saplings were distributed in the presence of Gaon-Bura, senior citizens and villagers. Meanwhile, a public meeting was also held at Mahur football ground. The meeting was attended by Chief Conservator of Forest M. Tungnung, District Forest Officer Tuhin Langthasa and other forest officials. It may be mentioned here that the week-long Van Mahotsav was organized by Forest and Environment Department.
नहीं, हम लोग आज वनमहोत्सव वीक का दिन में वनमहोत्सव वीक ये होल वीक प्रोसेस था, उसमें अब काफी जगह में हम लोग प्लांटेशन किया है और ये प्लांटेशन हम लोग इनिशिएट किया इस बार माहौर में और बहुत सारा पैचेस जहाँ प्लांटेशन नहीं जहाँ बैरन लैंड हो गया वहाँ हम लोग प्लांटेशन के लिए इनिशिएटिव ले रहा है और हम लोग अवेयरनेस भी फैला रहा है सब गाँव में मिलके। अभी आज का दिन में हम लोग क्लोजिंग सेरेमनी माहौर में किया है और बहुत सारे एरियाज में और भी नॉट ओनली ये वनमहोत्सव वीक को छोड़ के भी अलग अलग जगह में जैसे कि अभी ये वीक खत्म होने के बावजूद भी हम लोग जैसे कि बहुत सारे लैंडस्लाइड जोन हम लोग का यहाँ पे जो दिमाग में जहाँ हुआ है वैसे बारे में फिर प्लांटेशन पार्ट 2 हम लोग कंटिन्यू करता रहेगा और भी।
All right, so the week-long 73rd One Mahotsav, organized in Assam's Dima Hasao district, concluded today at Mahur, and as part of the closing ceremony, a plantation drive was organized and free saplings were distributed in the presence of Gabura, senior citizens and villagers. On to some sports news now. Well, Rafael Nadal overcame an injury to beat Taylor Fritz and reached the Wimbledon semi-finals of an 8th time on Wednesday, keeping alive his dream of a calendar Grand Slam. The second seed lost the first set and had to take a medical timeout in the second, but raised his game to win 3-6, 7-5, 3-6, 7-5, 7-6 in a match lasting 4 hours and 21 minutes. Nadal, a 22-time Grand Slam champion, will play Maverick Australian Nick Kyrgios for a place in Sunday's final. He admitted he was suffering from an abdominal problem. A pumped-up Nadal raced out of the blocks to take a 3-1 lead, but then lost 5 straight games to the 11th seed to lose the first set. The players swept breaks in the second set, but Nadal was not moving freely, and when leading 4-3, he sat down on his chair, shaking his head at his team. The trainer came on before Nadal left the court for a medical timeout to treat what appeared to be an injury. When he returned, Fritz served out to love with Nadal's movement still looking hampered. But the Spaniard twice held a serve comfortably to lead a 6-5, and a backhand volley into the open court sealed the second set to roars from the crowd. The set went to a tie break and Nadal seized control, racing into a 9-3 lead and completing the win on his second match point. Well, age is no bar when it comes to education, and this was proved by 53-year-old Sheila Rani Das, who along with her 2 daughters cleared the Tripura Board of Secondary Education exams on Wednesday. Well, Sheila wrote her Class 10 board exam while her 2 daughters appeared for the highest secondary exam this year. Well, the triple delight came yesterday as the TBSC published the results. Sheila Das was married at a tender age, and soon after that, her husband passed away, which put a stop to her attempts to study. Well, speaking to media, Sheila said that she is happy that she passed the exam with the support of her daughters, who inspired her to give the examination. She passed out from Abhayanagar Smriti Vidyalaya, Agartala. And well, news and updates continue on Northeast Live, so stay tuned for more news. Thank you.
Railway yard where this massive landslide took place.